Alright guys, I'm putting an end to this once and for all. This has been a huge point of debate recently. Should you train to failure? How hard should you train? What's the optimal way to train to maximize your strength and hypertrophy gains and to achieve your goals as efficiently as possible? Some people, they swear by training to failure. Some people say no, this isn't really smart, especially long term. You're going to run yourself into the ground. You're going to have to take a lot of deloads. Some people put a huge focus on volume. Some people say no, frequency is more important. Some people say no, it's about the intensity. And the truth is somewhere in this huge mix, right? And look guys, any form of training is going to yield results. Any form of training is better than no training at all. So training to failure is going to yield results. Training grease the groove style is going to yield results. It's just about trying to find what's the most efficient and optimal way to gain strength and muscle. And I've thought about which method is most optimal, which method is most efficient for way too long. You know, I've weighed the pros and cons in my head for both, and it's really kind of got to me nowhere. Like, you're not going to know until you put things to the test, and that's why I'm going to do this experiment. So here's the plan. For 2 weeks, I'm going to do nothing but pull-ups. I'm going to test my max, I'm going to show it on camera, and then for 2 weeks, I'm going to do nothing but pull-ups in the old school way of training, which is training to failure. Alright, and then I'm going to take 2 weeks off, just so that any gains I would have made due to that 2-week hypertrophy phase, training to failure phase, go away, and I come back to baseline. And then I'm going to do 2 weeks of, again, nothing but pull-ups in the grease the groove style. Alright, which is basically, it kind of has a totally different aim. The first method of training aims to kind of induce DOMS, induce soreness, induce muscle damage, whereas the second type of training, the grease the groove type of training, the focus is to get as many reps in without fatiguing the muscle. Alright? If you don't know what grease the groove is, you could just look it up online. There's a ton of videos about it. You'll get the gist of it. And then again, I'm going to test my max at the end of that period. And one more thing I forgot to mention is I'm going to be measuring my biceps, alright, to show the hypertrophy or lack of it in both phases, in the first 2 weeks and then in the last 2 weeks. So overall, it's going to be a 6-week experiment, 2 weeks of training to failure, 2 weeks off, and then 2 weeks of grease the groove style pull-ups. Alright? And hopefully that will put this whole debate to rest, and hopefully provide some useful insight into how trainers and people in general should be designing their programs and workouts. And because I'm going to be showing my arm circumference, what I will be doing over the 6 weeks is I'll be maintaining a minimum number of push-ups. And it won't be much. It will be like 30% of my max over and over the course of these 6 weeks, just to make sure that the triceps don't atrophy. And that way, I minimize the variables. So I'll be getting a more accurate representation of whether or not my biceps are actually growing or not. Alright, so that's the plan. And what I'll also do is I'll be logging all of the sets that I do over these 6 weeks and putting them into an Excel spreadsheet and then updating you. So when the first couple weeks are done, I'll include that in my video. And then when the last 2 weeks are done, I'll also include that spreadsheet in my video. Alright, so let's have a look at what my current arm size is. Now, even if this method isn't the most accurate, as long as the way I'm measuring is consistent, then it will give us a good idea of whether or not I've grown over these 6 weeks. So this is what the first measurement shows. This is my right arm. So let's say that's about 16.1 inches. Alright. Flexed. And when my left arm is flexed, that's what it looks like. So I'd say that's about 15.9 inches, more or less. So that's the method I'm going to use. And remember guys, over the 6-week period, gaining even 0.2 inches is remarkable, you know? Sorry, I'm not in the shot. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing. What you guys need to be doing is subscribing, hitting that notification bell so that you don't miss the results of this experiment. Alright, so this is my current body weight, 96.6 kg. Alright, let's see what my max number of dead hang pull-ups is right now. Alright, we'll call that 12. Let's see what happens in 2 weeks. See you in the next one.